first off, obviously, good to see you again because it was about this time last year we were both in Berlin, and
Yeah,
everything kind of changed after that weekend, didn't it?
yeah. We I think we had an idea that something was coming, but we weren't quite sure when, and certainly didn't think it was going to be this long that we'd be locked down. So very grateful that we got to do Germany at that time, and that was a fantastic event. And I know there were some highlights shown there last weekend. Kind of brought back all those memories, but it was just fantastic. Not just to see the wealth of talent that was around, but some familiar faces from the UK floating around the audiences too. It was pretty cool.
So, are you kind of a little bit relieved you managed to get sort of that weekend and a show the following week in Ireland before everything shut down?
Yeah, I mean, I took it right up to the limit without really realizing, between doing C2C in Berlin, flew back then to Belfast to play the Belfast National Songwriters Festival, which I always hold dear to my heart. It was something that gave me my first crack at performing live, really, and introduced me to so many wonderful people. And then flew to Glasgow. We done Country on the Clyde then, a thing that we operate with Buckle and Boots and UK Country Live. So we managed to do 4 shows over 2 days up in Glasgow and got back to Manchester on Monday. And lo and behold, we were locked down pretty soon after.
But you've kind of wasted no time this year in getting music out. So we got 2 singles out already, and we're only in March. How does it kind of feel to have that new music out there?
Yeah, it's been quite strange, really, because in lockdown we thought, right, it's going to be no performing, but we've all found different ways to perform, whether that's on live streams and different ways to collaborate with people. Using technology that you can co-write now with anybody across the world, and that was always at your fingertips, but this has made you kind of think about it a lot more steadfast. So for me, it's been good to just really focus on new music and use this time that ordinarily I might have been, planning with Buckle and Boots or planning my own shows and getting kind of summer dates and festivals lined up. I've just been able to use that time properly. The songs I'd written back in January and February out in Nashville, I've been able to hone those down and get out to Sweden in kind of November time last year and record a couple of tracks. So like you say, I've two tracks down, and one will be coming out now in the coming weeks.
Now, even though you've been releasing music for several years, do you still kind of get a bit nervous the night before a new release comes out?
Absolutely. Um, you know, Certainly as a singer-songwriter as well, you're putting a lot of effort into creating those songs, not just where an artist would pick songs out that they feel relevant to them. So in that way, they kind of feel like children, not as important as kids, but you kind of feel that you're putting out not just your voice, but a representation of who you are. So with Nobody Somebody and Complicated, I felt that we've taken a different angle with production too, working closely with Richard Alex out in Sweden. So more nerves that have been sat on the fact that maybe it's a new sound to a lot of people that have been following me, and great to see the response that's had. There's songs that are streaming the best on the platforms like Spotify and Apple Music and Amazon, and so kind of thankful for that. And lockdown has maybe honed that in where more people are accessing those platforms to listen.
Now, the first release, Nobody Somebody, it got picked up very early by a lot of the major kind of country music playlists. Have you ever had this kind of coverage before so early on after a release?
No, that was the kind of great thing about taking this new slant. One of the aims was, what is current, as an artist, where do I need to be? As a songwriter, you can always, try different things. You can always write with different people, and that's not as risky as putting yourself out there as an artist. So when I sat down with Richard Alex out in Sweden, we were saying, like, main aim here is we need to be hitting some of these mainstream lists. So to see that come back quite early on was pretty cool. And full credit to Richard Alex and what he's been able to do with us out there in Sweden, and listen to what I wanted as well. I felt I've had a lot more input into what I want the sound to be, and he was very gracious and taking a lot of that on board and putting his own stamp on it too. So to get Spotify Wild Country was a huge thing, and I got on Today's Country in America for a little while, and now kind of continuing here on the Apple side in the UK. So fingers crossed, it's the start of something new in regards to streaming, and kind of taking that forward with my new sound, really.
So when you kind of get onto these playlists, do you kind of notice your music getting listened to in sort of new markets that you haven't really explored before?
Yeah, you see a lot of new flags come up on your platforms within your, as an artist you can access with Spotify for artists, Apple Music for artists. So seeing a lot more traction in different countries that some of you not heard of. Um, Tanzania, Zambia, we've all got a good dose of Nobody Somebody recently, which is pretty cool. What I've found as well is though, yeah, on the Apple side of things, it's really getting UK listeners. I still feel Spotify is growing here in the UK, but a lot of my Spotify listeners will come from America, Canada. Um, Whereas on Apple Music, I'm finding a lot more UK listeners have been able to tap in that ordinarily maybe wouldn't have heard from me. So the likes of London, Birmingham, Sunderland are all kind of streaming a lot higher than they ever would have in the past.
But you did make one more unique playlist in the Cafe Nero worldwide playlist, I understand.
Yeah, Cafe Nero, they playlisted Nobody Somebody earlier on. They had playlisted the Christmas song I'd done with Sophie Hansen a way back. So I was just in December time. And just kind of thought I'll try and see if they're listening to this too. And they did graciously put it on their playlist, but at a time we're still in lockdown. I'm not too sure if there's a lot of people hearing it. So fingers crossed they'll hold on to it a little while longer as we open up into the summer and it'll start getting a bit more traction.
So have you now got a new favourite coffee shop after that?
Yeah, it's certainly. People will think I've got some sort of sponsorship deal. I'll be asking everybody to get their coffee from Cafe Nero pretty early on.
And then, obviously, just a few weeks ago, you released the second song from the project, In Complicated.
Yeah.
How have you what's the reaction kind of been like to this track compared to the last track?
It seems to have streamed a little stronger. Radio pickup maybe hasn't been as strong, but I'm also aware that radio here in the UK is a little different. Radio in America is a slow burn. It'll take a year for a song to become number one over there. So if you think of the UK radio stations here are trying to tap into what the American radio stations sound like, a lot of the stuff can be a year old, yet they'll still tap into what's coming out new and regular. So to find an avenue and an angle to be a UK artist in that mix is very, very hard. But thankful to the likes of Country Hits UK, Chris Country and Country Line, Arc Radio. A lot of the stations here in the UK have got behind some of the singles, but I'm aware that they can't get behind them all without maybe showing a little favoritism, or maybe they just don't feel that there's enough space because they have to look at what else is around. So maybe a little disappointing on the radio side of things for Complicated, but both songs are up past 10,000 streams over the weekend there, which is stronger than what Nobody Somebody hit early on. So fingers crossed, one way or another people will get to hear the tracks.
So with obviously the streaming numbers being through the roof, and I think Nobody Somebody's already on, it's already set to become like your most streamed song ever. Do you think this is definitely, this new direction is the right take and the right time then for you?
I think it's the right take for now. It's, as an artist, you want to remain relevant. I probably wasn't writing like this 10 years ago. If you consider my first release back 2013, and what I had written up until that point was very angled of what I was heavily influenced in the likes of Garth Brooks and Bob Paisley. If you look at America now, although those guys are still very relevant, a lot of the newer sound is where you're getting the playlisting. So as a business, it just makes sense that you kind of review what your output is and where you want to be. So it's right for now. Will it be right for 5 years? Who knows? You'll just go with the trends or try in some way to be your own trend setter. I'll always be writing. I'll always want to put out songs that I feel are worthy of putting out. And some of my next singles coming out, towards the end of the year and at the end of the summer, will maybe hark back to my earlier releases, a little bit of that neo-traditional sound, because that's where I feel I've always kind of come from. That's where my roots would sit. So it's trying to honor myself as a writer and trying to honor myself as an artist as much as I possibly can.
Okay, would you like to play one of the tracks for us now then?
Sure. Well, I'll do Nobody Somebody. This is a song that I wrote with John Gurney and Kyle Slinger. we were both based out of Nashville, and Kyle had a bit of success there a year or two ago with Brett Youngs, in case you didn't know. So I was excited to get into the room with Kyle and John and see what we could come up with, and that's what we done. A song called Nobody Somebody. Didn't even know that I was lost before I found you. Now see who I'm supposed to be anytime that I'm around. I don't know how a girl like you choose a guy like me. Why would anybody question meant to be? I know, you know, I'm never gonna be the guy with 3 cars in the driveway, standing on the main stage, spotlight pointing my way. You got me living the dream. Finally, I'm just me being me. You made this nobody somebody. I was just a shadow of a man before I met you. Thought a million years would come and pass before I get you. But girl, somehow you took this kid, turned into a king. Don't need fortune, don't need fame, you give me everything. Never gonna be the guy with 3 cars in the drive, standing on the main stage, spotlight pointing my way. You got me living the dream. Finally, I'm just me being me. You made this nobody somebody. Somebody, somebody. Wasn't gonna be just anybody, anybody. On the main stage, spotlight pointing my way. You got me living the dream. Finally, I'm just me being me. You made this nobody somebody, somebody.
Thank you very much. So you're at the minute, you're in the middle of obviously a free sort of track project. What can we expect then from the third track that's to come?
I think production-wise, a bit more of an amalgamation of the 2 tracks that have already come out. Kind of still trying to remain fresh, trying to remain current. But the feel and the lyric behind this is a bit more, is a bit deeper, I think. And maybe closely more aligned with Nobody Somebody. A song called Catch Me. And I wrote that with 2 guys out in Nashville too, JP Williams and Scott Reeves. They've both had different successes with Jimmy Allen and Toby Keith, and it was great to be in the room with those guys too and just develop an idea. It was more so a complete idea that started from scratch, as opposed to an idea that I brought into the room. So it was exciting to be a part of that, and just see how that manifested itself with the 2 guys. So I'm excited to hear what they'll think of the track once they hear it too. It's still in production, so yeah, it's just a continuation of the sound, pretty much of where I'm at, but a probably deeper lyric.
So you spoke about obviously working with Richard Alex as your producer. How's it kind of worked with all the lockdown restrictions and obviously limiting travel to get these tracks out and ready?
Yeah, so if you remember back November time, there was a space in time that we were able to get out and about. It was just prior to another lockdown, and I flew him out to Sweden just to meet up with Richard Alex and Sophie Hansen, and I stayed out there for a week, and we laid down the vocals and everything that we needed to do at that point with a lot of the sketch work for the tracks. So upon coming back, everything's already there, everything's already recorded. It's just a matter of polishing it all up and getting everything together, ready for release. So we're currently at that stage now with the last track. So any day now we'll have that finished up, but undecided on an actual release date for that just now. So hopefully, Complicated still dreams well. It gives us enough ammunition to hold back a little. So yeah, no real kind of idea on when that will come out just now.
Now, you spoke about obviously spending a few weeks in Nashville at the start of last year. How do these kind of writers' song camps kind of actually work then for you?
How does what? Sorry.
How do the writer song camps sort of work for you?
The
Are they
songwriting.
something you often use? Do you normally use the writing camps?
Oh, sorry, the writing camps. No, I've never been involved in any of the writing camps. When I go out to Nashville, I just hook up with people that I know, or if I've worked with somebody before, I tend to start with those guys, and then they'll say, listen, such and such, I feel you'd work well with this guy. So you manage it. It's kind of like a snowball. Once you get in town and people know you're there, then thankfully there's an appetite to work with you. And it's more so as well, they know you've got a limited time frame. So they might move a few things around to squeeze you in here and there. So I was real thankful for the opportunities that I got out the last time, getting to work with Brett James, JP Williams, Jeff Cohen. And a lot of those tracks are still sitting back that, were hopefully earmarked for future release. William Michael Morgan got 2 tracks that I want to get released pretty soon with what we've done there too. So it was very fruitful. And I find that it really focuses the mind once you're in town for a small amount of time, that you just want to get it done. I feel that sitting back here in the UK, you can procrastinate a lot. And I've done that quite a bit through lockdown. So it's nice now as lockdown's about to lift that it can get the juices flowing again and feel a bit under pressure to get things done and ready, both with live shows and with writing. So yeah, getting out to Nashville, I've never really used any of the songwriting camps, but it's something that we're looking to explore here in the UK, under the Buckle and Boots banner, maybe try and come up with some writer retreats. So definitely keep an eye out for those if anyone's interested.
So with obviously now so much having moved online, have you done any kind of virtual writes this year?
I've done one virtual write. For what was honest, very different, very difficult. I felt just, it's creatively to try and be the same as if you're face to face with somebody in the room, but still served its purpose, came up with something that was pretty cool. And all of this is an experience, and learn the next time I sit down to do it, what needs to be better on my end to be more fruitful from the experience. But I definitely prefer being in the room with somebody as a co-write. And I think I prefer co-writing over single writing as well, which is why I fully love my time when I'm out in the States or whoever I hook up with. I was always averse to co-writing from the very beginning, but now I think it's the best way, because having that extra mind and those extra set of ears in the room can take a subject you've been really struggling with and allow it to flourish. Whereas if you're only battling with yourself, it can be a little stagnant.
So how does it feel kind of knowing that it's unlikely a trip to Nashville is going to happen any time in the immediate future?
Yeah, it's disappointing. I would have planned hopefully to have got out at the beginning of the year again, or November time. So, fingers crossed, November could still be an option depending on what way travel looks. So not the be all and end all. I've still got plenty of material that I want to be working on here. And there's a lot of great artists and singer-songwriters here within the UK I still want to collaborate with too. So once lockdown's lifted in that manner, I'll be looking to get back out on the road and do some writes with those guys. And hopefully live dates start coming in very thick and fast. And before you know it, it'll be Christmas.
So obviously the most positive news in recent weeks has obviously been the announcement of the summer festivals. And the dates are kind of conveniently working for most of them, including Buckle and Boots. How kind of excited were you when you saw the dates of the announcement?
Yeah, as soon as the announcement was coming forward that it was the 21st of June, live events would be back on track. The immediate reaction was, yes, here we go. focus down now, see how many acts we can confirm and reconfirm, and is there anything else we need to be looking at. So that was quite exciting. I'd be a pragmatist though, so as soon as that wore off, it was very much, is this going to happen? What if this doesn't happen? What do we need to line up just in case? So Carl Hancock is very much the optimist. So he's still flying ahead, and which is great. I think you need that balance on both sides. So yeah, the excitement's there. We're thoroughly looking forward to that weekend, end of July, start of August, that we can hopefully get everyone back up to the farm and celebrate some great country music.
So do you think having that kind of end of July day, where obviously everything's been open for a month, do you think that's going to be quite a positive for you, because people are then a bit more used to having been out in that last month?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely that side of it that you can see and look at what others have been doing in the weeks running up to your own event, and looking at the pros and cons of that. There could also be a downturn in the fact that people are out and about very quickly. If there's a spike, it could lock us all down again, and we just don't know. But excitement and planning forward is where we have to be. There's no point in sitting and thinking it's not going to happen. But I think we can learn a lot from what people will be doing in the run up to our own festival. And every opportunity that there's a live piece of music, we'll try and be there to not only promote what we're doing, but support what everyone else is doing, because I think we've all missed live music, and it's going to be so important for everybody as a catharsis and a therapeutic element as we all come out of lockdown. I feel there's going to be people skeptical. There's going to be people that are scared once lockdown lifts, which is very understandable. So all we can do is be positive, be proactive, tick all the boxes, make sure we're COVID safe in the best possible manner. And Buckle and Boots, I know we'll certainly be doing that. So if anyone has any concerns, feel free to lift the phone, email, and we'll put your mind at ease.
And do you think there's going to be a lineup announcement anytime soon for it?
There will be, yeah. We were just discussing that today. So there's still a few things that we need to iron out, particularly with some of the international acts. So we just don't want to jump the gun, want to make sure it's right. But yeah, I think people will be really excited with the lineup, and I think just people in general are looking forward to getting together, meeting up with friends, have good music to kind of keep it all together and enjoy a beer too. So yeah, fingers crossed this summer. We're looking forward to a lot of great music, and there'll be a lineup very, very soon.
And how do you think you're going to feel personally the first time you stand back up on stage behind a microphone with people in front of you rather than a computer screen?
I'm hoping I'll just slip back into it, but I'm sure there'll be a lot more nerves than I'm used to. There's one or two things that might be coming up before Buckle and Boots, so by the time I get full on to that with some of the hosting duties that I have as well, I'll be back into slick mode hopefully. But just excited. I've really missed that interaction with crowds, that energy. It's been a little difficult at times singing to your phone or singing to a computer screen. But you can still see some interaction. So that's what's kept us going. Talking to some other fellow artists that have relied heavily on that own interaction with other artists and with their people watching online. It's been a great focal point each week to keep their mind going, and it's been a great therapeutic process too. Once again, you can get dragged down pretty quick if you don't have good support around you. So very, very thankful to the musical community for helping me kind of kick through that too.
Excellent here. So would you like to, before we finish, would you like to play us out with one final track?
Yeah. There's a song called Complicated. I wrote this with a singer-songwriter out in Nashville called Alec Petford. So he goes under Alec Taylor. Go check him out if you can. Great young talent, so keep an eye out for him. But I brought this idea into the room about two friends, but one of them maybe just wants to take it a bit further than the other. And sometimes it doesn't have to be as complicated as we make it out to be. So hope you enjoy this song called Complicated. Another shot of whiskey. I've seen that look before. The way you're dancing with me, you got me wanting more. We go so good together. We've both been friends forever. So between you and me, baby, stop saying It's complicated. You're talking differently with your eyes. Baby, I'm all in. You got me falling. Let's take a chance on us tonight. Here for the taking. Baby, stop saying it's complicated. I don't know what you're thinking, but I feel you want me to. This could be the beginning of something really good. You gotta let me know. Give me a sign to show what's between you and me. Baby, stop saying it's complicated. You're talking differently with your eyes. Baby, I'm all in. You got me falling. Let's take a chance on us tonight. Here for the taking. Baby, stop saying it's complicated. Let's get back to basics. We can lay everything on the line. What have I gotta do to make you mine? So baby, stop saying it's complicated. You're talking differently with your eyes. Baby, I'm all in. You got me falling. Let's take a chance on us tonight. Here for the taking. So baby, stop saying it's complicated. See, it's not complicated.
Thank you very much, Gary, for that one, and thank you for joining us this evening.
No,
it's been an absolute pleasure.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
No, and I say we're definitely looking forward to Buckland Boots and cannot wait to see you live again.
Yeah, fingers crossed we can get you up there, man.
Thank you very much, and good night.
Cheers, bye.